Yeah, so a lot has happened in the last week since this has emerged. And actually, a lot of news has dropped today. So, anyway, last week, the news comes out Thursday afternoon, I think it was, that Call of Duty League will be streamed exclusively on YouTube, which I called, but it's not ideal. I'm not happy about it. I think it should be on Twitch as well. But the Friday morning, I think, of the game starting, I think it was Friday morning. I might be wrong on that. But on the flank, or on his stream, Zuma and Ben of the flank discussed that they had an email sent to them that said, listen, you cannot stream the matches on Twitch live or after the fact. It has to be YouTube if you want to show actual game footage from CDL matches, which is a bummer, but makes sense, right? If the COD League is exclusively on YouTube gaming, I understand why YouTube would want the league to just crack down on anything being shown on Twitch. A lot of sports leagues have these kind of exclusive streaming rights deals anyway, but it's a bummer nonetheless just because the flank and the breakdown with Scump, they've been able to do this on Twitch and YouTube without any penalty really, so they like it on Twitch because there's more viewers there. So it's a bummer. The flank and the breakdown did like a co-stream event to talk about everything last week. So that was cool to see the two of them merge for something. But just today, earlier today, I saw Zuma on the flank was showing clips from last week, and his chat was like freaking out. Zuma, what are you doing? Stop. You're going to get canceled or whatever. And then Zuma explained like, hey, I talked with the league. They said it's all good now. I can show clips. Does that mean he can show live matches on Twitch, watch partying? I don't think so, but at least there's an easing of the policy where Zuma can now show CDL clips, matches, whatever, on Twitch after the fact. So that's a step in the right direction, but still, it just goes to show that this league is like, I don't know, just not all the way there in the head when it comes to like easy decisions like this. But if Zuma and Scump and those guys can now watch film on Twitch, good with me. But just so much drama in the last week that had to do with this stuff.
Yeah, unclarity is always great in professional sports leagues. That's what we all live for. There is so much wrong with all of this. And I think, I can't remember I think we talked about this last year, I think. And I basically said, this going to YouTube is very clearly just it's a dying cash grab. It's like, we want cash, Twitch won't give us cash, YouTube gives us more cash, therefore we're just going to do YouTube, and then we're going to use that cash to try to paper over whatever cracks we have. We don't care about growing this thing anymore. We don't care about the good of the sport. We don't care about the good of the esport. We don't care about growing our brands. All we care about is the YouTube cash. And they showed it. Two of their biggest brands, and again, of two of their biggest stars ever. Zuma, again, one of the biggest. There is no COD Hall of Fame as far as I know at this point, but clearly Zuma and Scump would be in it, along with Methods as well. They would probably also be in the Call of Duty Hall of Fame if there was one, which eventually there will be. To be fair, most of these guys are like late 20s, so that's coming one day, but just not quite yet. But they just said, you know what, we don't care about those brands. And the other thing too is that the breakdown with Scump is like explicitly run by one of their franchise teams. And also to the extent the flank is as well. Now I believe it's sponsored by FaZe. It's not specifically run by FaZe, but the breakdown is explicitly run by FaZe because you have the owner. Sorry, it's explicitly run by Optic because you have the owner of Optic appearing on that most of the time during the watch parties. They just sold out not only some of their biggest stars, their biggest brands, but also one of their owners. They just said, you know what? We are taking the money from YouTube. And clearly YouTube said to them, you need to crack down on this because people are going to start watching it on Twitch and we're not going to get the ad revenue from that. And they said, okay, that's fine. You're paying us millions of dollars a year. We don't care about that. We will screw over our people in exchange for that money. And that's a huge problem. And I think people are going to say, oh, they did not have to do this. If Activision genuinely cared about growing the sport, getting it to a point when you don't have to make the decision between, do we take money to cover our expenses, or do we try to grow the sport? If you grow the sport, you'll never have to you don't have to worry about that decision again. But they decided instead to opt for short-term cash. And I think that's the fundamental problem with this league. I think if this league was confident enough that this could succeed long term, they'd bet on themselves and they'd say, yes, we can grow this. We can make a competitive league long term that could rival the best esports leagues in the world, maybe even rival professional sports leagues one day. They would say, yes, we have the property here. We are confident enough in it. We will sacrifice in the short term to grow long term. But they didn't do that. They said, give me the money now. And I think that fundamentally says everything you need to know about the CDL.